guys, Mr. Edwards here, Centreville High School Automotive Technology. Today we're working on our 1996 Toyota Camry. We've got a check engine light on it, signifying that there's a problem with the emissions system on the car and we can't pass Virginia State emissions inspection with that light on or get license plates for the car. So we need to figure out why that light's on. Let's get in there and take a look. Alright, so we've got our car here and we're going to hop in, figure out why that check engine light's on. Remember, when you guys put the key in the ignition and turn it to the on position, all those warning lights on the dash, check engine, ABS, charging system, airbag light that just went out, all come on. But as soon as a couple seconds go by, they should all go out on their own. They're just coming on to make sure the bulb works and it's all good to go. If you start the car up and they stay on, that means there is a potential problem with that system. Now, our door light and our seatbelt light are on. That's because our door's open and my seatbelt's not on because we're not going anywhere. Check engine light over there, that's on because there's a problem with the emissions system. That's not good. We're going to figure out why here. Most cars, remember, straight under the steering wheel, right by the driver's feet, there'll be that connector that the OBD2 connector hooks up to, or the OBD2 scan tool hooks up to. It's that unique 16-pin connector like this one right here. On this car, because this is a 1996, which is the oldest OBD2 cars out there, they, for some reason, chose not to have it in the usual spot and put it in a very weird spot. And Google was my friend with this one because I had to look it up and figure out where the heck the connector for the OBD2 port is. And it's behind this little coin tray right here. You have to pop this thing in like that, wiggle on it a little bit, be careful not to break it because it is plastic. And behind there is a little fuse box and our OBD2 port. So, I don't want my car running while I'm checking out why the check engine light's on, so I'm going to turn it back off, but it does need to be in the on position with all those dash lights on, 2 clicks over. That way that it can communicate, that way the scan tool can communicate with the computer of the car. So it's in the on position. I'm going to plug my scan tool in here. I'm just using a generic code reader since all we're looking at is the check engine light. There's our home screen. We want to go to vehicle diagnostics. Yeah, we're doing a different car. Here's our home screen for the car. We're going to come to IM monitors in a minute. I'll talk about what that is. But first, I just want to read codes, see why this light's on. EGR flow excessive detected. All right, that's an emissions issue for sure. And thankfully, it's just code 1 of 1, not 1 of 16. If we had 16 codes, we'd have real problems to deal with, but we only got one problem. That's good. But the EGR system is part of the emissions system. EGR stands for exhaust gas recirculation. Basically, what the EGR system does is it takes a percentage of the exhaust gases that the engine puts out after the combustion process and re-burns them. So it puts them back through the intake, puts them back into the combustion chamber, and burns them again. That way, less goes out the tailpipe, and there's more of a complete combustion process. And there's less, in the end, there's less contaminants going out into the environment. So, we have excessive flow, so excessive EGR flow detected. So take your code and write it down somewhere. I've got it put in my phone here. You can write it on a piece of paper, whatever you're working on. If you're working in a shop, write it on the repair order, write it on the estimate for the customer, whatever the case may be. Just don't lose it. Don't forget it, because you got to go and look it up now. So I've got it written down. Now, let's go to All Data and figure out what this code potentially means and what our problem could be. Alright, so we're here on All Data now, and we're going to put in what vehicle we have. So it's a 1996, nope, not 95, 1996 Toyota Camry, and it's a Camry sedan 4-door, not the coupe or the wagon. Now we have the V6 engine in it, not the 4-cylinder. Make sure you select the correct one, because especially with engine stuff like this, emissions engine stuff, it makes a difference. Now we're going to go up here to diagnostic trouble codes, because that's what we just pulled out of the car. Go to P code charts, because remember P powertrain codes. And our code was P0402, so they're all in order here. We'll scroll down to the 400s. P0402. Alright. Inspection procedure using OBD2 scan tool. That's what we just did. Yes, and it's a problem with the EGR system, so it's showing us diagrams here with our EGR valve, our EGR vacuum modulator, vacuum lines that are going up, electrical stuff. There's the vacuum switching valve that's between the two that the vacuum lines go to. So it's showing us all this stuff. It's telling us tests to do. It's telling us when it would throw that code, you know, possible problems. You know, the EGR valve is stuck open, the EGR vacuum switching valve is malfunctioning. There's an issue with the circuit for the VSV, a short, and the temp sensor for the EGR valve. So it's giving us all these possibilities, and then it tells us how to check all this stuff. So we're going to look here at our diagram. We've got the throttle body up here. It goes down. There's the ECM sending power to the vacuum switching valve. The vacuum lines come out of it. One goes to the EGR valve, one goes to the EGR vacuum modulator, and we'll go under the hood and find all this stuff. And see if we see anything obvious. The first step to any good diagnostic procedure, guys, on anything is a good visual inspection, because you could be dealing with a problem like this and you pop the hood and whatever has a code is unplugged. Well, yeah, that's gonna cause a problem if it's unplugged, and you potentially just fixed your problem by plugging it back in. Maybe it was unplugged for a reason. Maybe it was unplugged because there's a problem with it. Then you got to go down the diagnostic path a little bit further, but don't dig yourself into too much of a hole, you know, buying parts and throwing parts at a car until you really do good diagnostics on it. So we'll pop our hood here, and the EGR valve should be pretty easy to see. It's up here on top of the engine. This is your EGR valve right here. It goes into the intake manifold, and then it has a pipe down there that comes off of it that actually goes down into the exhaust system way down there, and then next to it with the vacuum lines coming off of it, this is that vacuum modulator that they were talking about on All Data. Both of these, if you look at them, they've been replaced pretty recently, because those are nice new bolts in there. Nothing's all rusty looking or anything. So both of these have already been replaced, and that obviously did not fix our problem with this car. There's one other part to the EGR system, and that's the vacuum switching valve that these vacuum lines that are coming off of the EGR valve and the vacuum modulator go to. We're going to take a look at our vacuum lines here, make sure they're in good shape. None of them are broken or falling off or anything. They all look pretty good though. So we're going to follow these vacuum lines up under this plastic cover right here, and that's where our vacuum switching valve is at. We need to take these two bolts out right here and take a look at that. Alright, so I need to come in here. These are two little Allen bolts here. Pop them up, don't want to lose them. And then this cover just comes off. We'll set it off to the side. Now, down inside of here, in between the front valve cover and the intake manifold, there's a rail of different vacuum solenoids with vacuum lines coming off of them. Let's follow our two vacuum lines from the EGR valve and the vacuum modulator down here. And they both go to the top and side of this vacuum valve right here. So it is plugged in, but that has not been replaced, and these two have. So we're going to focus on this as potentially being our problem with this car. So the first thing that we want to check with our vacuum switching valve here is we're just going to take our electrical connector off of it like that. That came off pretty good. We'll take a look at the wiring that's going to it, make sure the connector doesn't look damaged or anything. That looks like it's in pretty good shape. The vacuum lines are hooked up to it. That's not anything that I'm worried about. So now let's just take a look at our valve itself. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this vacuum switching valve off of here. There's a single screw, if you can see down in there, that holds it, but this vacuum valve in the front, for whatever that goes to, is blocking that screw. So there's another screw that holds this one. We're going to take this one off so that we can access the screw for ours. Then we need to pull the vacuum lines off of it, and we need to be really careful doing that because this is 24-year-old rubber, and we don't want to damage it if we can help it. So I'm up in here with my screwdriver. I'll take the single screw off for this one, and hopefully that gives us enough space. Let's not drop that screw, please. That'll make for a good day. Start dropping stuff. Oh boy. There's one screw. We'll lift this one up. It's kind of held on at a little bracket piece back there, so we'll go up and out like that. And disconnect it also. Hopefully that'll give us enough space to get down here with the screwdriver to ours now. Oh, that's a bad angle. I don't want to round that screw off. Alright, so I'm going to come down here and take these couple of 10mm nuts off the metal rail that holds all this together. And then hopefully we can pull the whole thing up and then give us a little better access at our screw. I need to get a magnet, like I said, start to drop stuff. And with a little bit of maneuvering, I can get in here now and get my screw loose for the one that we're trying to look into. But now before I take it all the way off of here, and it's just relying on those vacuum lines, I'm going to try and get my vacuum lines loose from it. I don't want to pull on them too much and potentially damage them. I'm going to take a little pocket screwdriver and lightly pry out on it, just like that, and that should help. You want to try to avoid grabbing them with pliers like this because you can tear the rubber doing that. So a little pocket screwdriver behind it, push the line off. There's one. And there's two. Now we'll take our screw the rest of the way off. And unhook our valve. So this is our vacuum switching valve for the EGR system. Wanted to pull it off to do a good visual inspection on it. You can see this is the original Toyota part, so I would assume that it is 24 years old along with the rest of the car. These go bad very commonly on these cars. I've replaced numerous ones of these with problems with the EGR system. The EGR system being stuck closed, stuck open, too little flow, too much flow, what have you. So we're going to go ahead and replace this with a new one by the company that makes original Toyota parts. You can see their name is stamped in the plastic on the old one here, even though it's got the Toyota name on it. So we're going to go ahead and replace it with a new original equipment one, and that should take care of our problem with this car. So we'll hook it back through here, make sure it's going the correct direction. That'd be smart, right? Get all that lined up, get our screw started back in it. Try not to drop our screw. Oh, that would be nice. Oh boy, yeah, I dropped it. Of course I did. Thank goodness for magnets. Gotta love magnets. Got our screw started on it. Tighten that screw down. You don't need to put 800 foot-pounds of torque on it. Just tightening it by hand is fine. It's going into plastic after all. Just get it snug like that. Go ahead and tuck our vacuum lines back on here. Make sure they go back on nice and snug. And we'll tighten our vacuum rail back down and get this other switching solenoid put back on that we had to pull off to access our screw better. Two 10mm nuts. And a little tiny screw for the other solenoid. Again, Try not to drop it. That would always be helpful. Tighten that down, good and snug. Make sure we put both of our electrical connectors back on. So we don't have any problems there. That's on good, that's on good. And we'll put our cover back over the top of it. That didn't feel good. There we go. There we go. Alright, so we think we have our problem fixed with the EGR system. We got our new vacuum switching valve put on there. I got our scan tool hooked back up. We're going to come back here and go to erase codes. Okay, hit enter. Are you sure you want to erase them? Yes. So hit up for yes. Working, working, command sent. Now, let's see if our check engine light's off. So we'll go ahead and start the car. Awesome. No more check engine light. That's good. Now, we need to let this car go through what's called a drive cycle to know if everything that's wrong with it is fixed. To do that, the car has to be driven about 60 to 80 miles on average. Some cars a lot less than that. I've had some cars set in 10 miles go through a whole drive cycle. Other cars have been 300-400 miles. So just an average 60 to 80 miles, highway, city driving, different driving conditions. That way the computer of the car can check all the emission systems and make sure that it's happy with everything, that there's no problems. The way that you know the car's gone through the drive cycle is if you go back here to the home screen for the car, that first thing up there, IM monitors, we're going to enter into that. And right here, misfire monitor, fuel system monitor, component monitor, catalyst monitor, that's the catalytic converter, heated catalyst, this car doesn't have, evap, secondary air system, AC refrigerant monitor, oxygen sensor monitors, oxygen sensor heater, EGR system, and that's all of our monitors. Those are all things, unless it says NA. If it says NA, the car doesn't have it, it's not looking at it. But those are all things otherwise that this computer of this car checks when you're driving constantly. Some of them are constant monitors, like the 3 up here that already say okay. Others, the car has to be in a certain condition for the computer to check. We need to drive this car, let it go through that drive cycle until these monitors up here all say okay, like these ones here. So those 3 are good. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 that are incomplete, which means that the computer of the car has not checked those systems yet. One of them being the EGR system that we just fixed. We need to take this car out and drive it and see what happens. Well, we're cruising. No check engine light yet. And it's been about 20 miles. Well, almost 30 actually. Left my house when it was 149,050. Now it's 077. So we're cruising. Let's get through this drive cycle. So in total, drove it about 110 miles because it was at 149,050 miles when we left here. Now we're back at home base and I've got 149,160. Still no check engine light, which is good. That says we probably fixed our issue with the EGR system. Let's go in here to IM monitors, remember, on our scan tool. We'll go enter and make sure that all those monitors say okay, all the ones that this car has anyway, so that we can pass state emissions inspection. That's it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All 7 of the monitors are okay. Misfire, fuel system, component, catalyst, oxygen sensor heater, and most importantly, the EGR system monitor, which means it's checked the EGR system, no codes, no check engine light. We fixed our problem. We're good to go. Alright guys, well, that's it. We fixed our check engine light on our 1996 Toyota Camry here. Light's off now, the car's all good to go down the road, and I can take it in and get it emissions inspected, most importantly, so that we can get license plates for it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Make sure you fill out the reflection that goes along with it. I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Thanks for watching.